But welcome everyone. Oh man, that was hilarious. Good afternoon, family. My name is Malailupe Samifua, and I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the interim International Engagement Leadership Advisor with the Center for Leadership and Service, also known as CLS. Welcome to our Thunderbird Thursday. I'm not sure how many this is, which one this is, but yeah. Welcome to Thunderbird Thursday. The leadership topic that we're going to be exploring today is cross-cultural leadership. But before we begin, we would really appreciate it if you checked in. You'll find the link in the chat to our check-in form. So please make sure that you do that. We want to acknowledge that the quarter is winding down and you may be inundated with schoolwork, emails, and folks sliding into your DMs, and you're looking for just a breath of fresh air. So we thank you for making a choice to join us here today and trust us with your time and your learning experience. We encourage you to take care of yourself in the ways that you need to so that you can be fully present and prepared for today's program. I also wanted to share some tips to enhance today's program experience. We ask that you keep yourselves muted to limit background noise interruptions unless you're invited to speak by a presenter or it's a designated discussion time. We also know that Zoom fatigue is real, that you're choosing to join us for this event for your own space, and that technology can add some challenges, but we will also still want to connect with and build community with all of you. And we know that it's easier to do that when we can see each other. So if you're able to do so, we would love for you to have your camera on during this event, but especially when we are in breakout rooms later on. If you have any questions for us during the presentation, please use that chat feature. Please also, please use the chat feature. Lastly, this program is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube page in a few weeks. I'm going to turn it over to Gio for our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Lupe. Magandang tanghali sa inyo lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gio Mark Panello, and I am the Mentorship Program's Leadership Advisor at the Center for Cultural Inclusive Excellence. Before we move forward with today's activity, I would like for us to collectively take a moment to acknowledge all Indigenous and First People of the land and space in which we live and breathe. For our community here in the Pacific Northwest, we recognize that we are an occupied, ancestral, and territory of First Nations, and I want to thank all relations and tribes today as we prepare to hold space as a community. I recognize that all of us are joining this conversation from different areas, so I also want to invite you to reflect and thank all Indigenous and First People of the land and space in which you are coming from as we build community virtually. So thank you.
Maraming salamat, Gio. Thank you for doing that. So for in case this might be your first Thunderbird Thursday, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. So we have something called the Connect program, which is a community of students engaged in leadership opportunities across Highline College. We're encouraging students to explore something new while building skills and confidence and make connections with other students and campus resources. So throughout our school year, the Connect program offers different programs and events such as Thunderbird Thursdays, leadership workshops that are offered every first Thursday of each month. And these workshops will help you explore what being a leader means for you and help you grow your skills. We do, for those of you that do participate in at least 5 workshops to whatever programs or workshops those are, you can earn a leadership certificate. And so there is a form that we can put in the link into the chat box so you can learn more about that. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Amy and Edwina for our community guidelines.
Oh, did you want to do this? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So there is a quote there, which really, I guess, encapsulates why I chose to talk about this topic for today. It is a Samoan proverb, and it says, "Ole ala ele pule, Ole, which means that the way to leadership is through service. And our campus is super diverse. We have people from different cultural backgrounds, different ethnicities, people that speak different languages. And we know that with those identities comes different views of what makes a good leader. And so we want to talk about that today. So in Samoan, it does, if you are a leader, it's not that you just have a title, it's really on how you serve others. And so we're gonna dive into that and see how we can broaden our scope of what it means to be a leader. But before we do that, I'd like to pass it on to Amy and Edwina.
Thank you, Lupe. So as we continue on in conversation, we want to just establish some community guidelines that we will all be agreeing to. So our first one is take care of yourself. Lupe kind of talked about this at the beginning, but we know that what it looks like to interact on a Zoom screen. There might be different things for different folks. So while we do encourage you to keep yourself on camera as much as possible, just to help us in the community building, also take care of yourself. If you've had a long day of Zoom meetings and you need to turn off the screen for a little bit, that's fine. Get some water. If you want to stand up during the session, stretch, like those kinds of things, just whatever you need to do to take care of yourself during this conversation.
All right, and so our second one is using I statements only. So understanding that we're coming from various perspectives, experiences. And so, for example, just because I identify as being a Samoan, I will not speak for the Samoan community. And so thinking about how your identities are showing up in this space, being sure to use I statements only to represent your perspective and your view.
Our third one is related to confidentiality, but we encourage you to be aware what you share because this event is being recorded. We can't promise that any stories you share are going to be kept confidential. So we encourage you to share what you feel comfortable with, but know what your own boundaries are for what you feel is comfortable for you to share.
Number 4 is impact over intent. And so I know another in connection to using I statements only, just being mindful of, thinking about maybe how do you share in this space? What are some of the content that you may, maybe you feel comfortable in sharing, but also being mindful that sometimes what we say may impact the individuals or our peers around us. If you do say something that maybe comes off as hurtful, I think just being quick to apologize, acknowledge, maybe the statement that you mentioned may impact someone. And so I just think just taking a moment to think about like how is what you're sharing going to impact your community.
And again, tying to that really closely is that we encourage you to vocalize your feelings. That doesn't necessarily have to be aloud, but sharing ouch, oops, snaps when something resonates with you that someone else is sharing. You can do the little emoji or the reactions on Zoom, do a little clapping hands or the celebratory, I don't know what that thing is, but if you agree with somebody, or you can also type it in the chat if you are like, oh, ouch, that hit me in my feelings somewhere there. So we encourage you to use the different tools to be interactive in this space.
All right, number 6, step up and step back. So for all of my folks in here who maybe you love, you're the type of person who likes to respond right away. You're like, Edwina, I have something to say. I have a story for that. I have a response for every question. This is a good guideline to really think about, how are you taking up space? And maybe for folks who are just like, Edwina, I don't want to participate in this way, but I will add in my feedback in the chat. Another way of stepping up could be like, how do you participate in through chat? Or if you want to challenge yourself to unmute, when the speaker invites folks for a conversation, that may be a good way of challenging ourselves.
Yeah. And silence is okay. So especially when we have discussions, we might ask a question and it might take people a second to formulate an answer to that question. And again, if you're somebody who maybe instantly wants to have an answer, that can be an opportunity. Like, we don't need to fill the silence right away. Although usually we do want an answer when we're doing a discussion. It's okay if there's a little bit of time before the silence gets filled, so that lets folks who are still processing maybe their own answer to the question to not feel like they're rushed and having to come up with an answer.
Number 8, leaving space for growth. I think that is the wonderful journey about being at Connect program, being at Thunderbird Thursdays, is that we're all coming in. One, you bring so much to the space with the knowledge and your experiences, and two, there's always room for growing. So we challenge each of us to just leave a little room to grow and to learn something new today.
And then 9 is don't yuck my yum. And especially as we're talking about cross-cultural leadership, we're going to be talking about experiences from different perspectives. And so what might be valuable to someone might be something that you don't find as valuable or you don't agree with, but it's not necessary to vocalize disagreement with something if it's really just an expression of like yuck. So actually, I always think of the example when I was in my first year of college in the residence halls. There was a person who lived in my hall. If you went to lunch with her and you were going through the salad bar and you were putting like tomatoes on your salad, she would literally go, "I don't like tomatoes." And sometimes like, I don't need to know that you don't like tomatoes. I'm putting tomatoes on my own salad. So that's like an actual yucking my yum moment, but the same kind of thing with our experiences that we share. You can express disagreement if there's something that, we want to have a discussion about, but if it's just a strict yucking somebody's yum, let's not do that.
And last but not least, we are, as we mentioned, community so many times throughout our agreements. If there's something that you feel is missing, feel free to add it to our chat. And yeah, or if someone wants to add something really quickly. If not, we Gucci. All right, we'll pass it back to the host.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy and Edwina, for sharing our community guidelines today. We're going to take a few moments to pause and see what everyone is thinking and feeling. And so I'm going to pass it over to Georgia.
Hello, everyone. And so before we kind of get into like the big content of what is cross-cultural leadership, how do you engage with cross-cultural leadership, we wanted to spend some time using a Mentimeter. So if we could go to the next slide. There we go. So if you've not used Menti before, you can pull up another window. If you're on your computer, pull up like a window in Chrome or Firefox, or you can also use your phone. You're going to go to menti.com and use the code 5453834. And you'll be taken to a page. It's going to ask you a question. And then we're going to see what happens. So does anyone have any issues getting to the page? You should be prompted to answer this question. So who is a person in your life that you look to as a leader? And so just like Ayanna Pressley, this amazing congresswoman, she has her squad. So who are those people in your squad that you really look to as a leader? And I'm really talking about people like in your day-to-day life. I mean, it could be your parents, it could be your guardians, anyone in your family, however you define family. It could be a mentor, maybe an instructor, but really someone that you interact with, and that maybe they don't have to come from the same culture as you, but maybe they do. And so who are those people? And hopefully we start seeing some answers pretty soon. All right, so we have mom, parents, elders. We have a shout out to Doris, and Edwina gets a shout out too. People on your ministry team. Very nice. Someone knows Barack Obama in person? You have a hookup with Barack Obama? I didn't know that. Tupac. You know where he is? That's okay. I think that's great if it's also a musical person that you maybe listen to Tupac every day and that is someone who you see as a leader, then put their name in there. Lupe gets a shout out. Nice. All the women that stand for themselves. We have Kathy from Trio. Very nice. Give a few more seconds for people to keep engaged. You can also keep adding people. You don't have to only put one person in as who you look to as a leader, because you might be looking to people for different ways for their different types of leadership. So that's always a good thing to note. All right. Okay, so thinking of these people, thinking of Tupac, thinking of Lupe, thinking of Amy and Kathy Nguyen, when you have said you've answered this question that these people are people in your life that you look to as leaders, what are the attributes of or traits of these people what do they have? What kind of traits or attributes do these people have that make you say, that's a leader, that's someone who I look to, that's someone who I ask questions of, that's someone who I want to go to for advice? Give you all a little bit longer with this one. I'm assuming it's working and you all are just taking that time. I hope it's working.
GP, I don't know if you need a refresh. That might help.
Oh, maybe. Who's that? Oh, we see a wheel spinning. Oh no. Technical difficulties, y'all. 1 second. Thank you for your patience. Ah, I see what has happened. Okay, here we go. I use a different way of displaying the results. So someone said that these people have pride or bravery. They're authentic, caring, real, loving, and supportive. Responsibility, accountability, and great guidance. Confidence. Great communication skills. Communication, again, it's a good one. Consideration for everyone. Pride. Altruism, caring for others, courage, communication, involving others, and honesty. Good decision making. These are great, y'all. Strong leadership, genuine and supportive. And a problem solver. That's an awesome trait to have as a person to go to. So we just wanted to get you started with this exercise to start thinking about, when we're going into these activities that we're all going to guide you through, how these people in your life have influenced you, and maybe the people and the culture around you influences your leadership and the way that you maybe make decisions and care for people. And so with that, I believe I pass it off to, I actually don't know.
It's me. I wanted to see if you, it's like,
It was between Amy and Lupin, and I was about to say Lupin. I was like, I think I'm wrong.
So before we kind of continue going on, we wanted to explore a little bit of an example of sometimes when culture or when leadership styles are like not aligned. And so we are going to watch a clip from the show Parks and Rec. Let's just say this is supposed to be fun, so don't take it too seriously. But just if you don't know the show, if you're not familiar with it, it's a comedy from a few years ago. And the context of the video we're going to watch, Ron Swanson is the first person you'll see, and he is the director of the Parks Department. And he doesn't actually like government very much, and he really doesn't like people telling him what to do. And Chris Traeger is the new city manager, so he's Ron's boss, and he has like a lot of new initiatives that he's put in place, such as giving Donna a new keyboard and making Jerry give presentations. So also just wanted to mention that just for your knowledge, as we watch this clip, it is a comedy TV show. So there is one bleeped out word. There's also a word that maybe some people wish was bleeped out, and there's also a crude joke in this clip. So I apologize, wanted to give you that notice before we watched this video. So let me share this again.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing that funny clip. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're gonna ask you for your feedback. So I want to hear what y'all are thinking. What types of leadership styles or qualities did you see in the characters that were depicted in that clip? And feel free to unmute yourself, or you can share it in the chat box, whichever you feel more comfortable with.
Well, as usual, I mean, all of that, in my opinion, all of that behavior from Ron was very predictable.
Matt, for some people who may not know which one was Ron, can you describe what are some of the qualities or characteristics of his leadership style?
Well, how I would describe his leadership style is that, in my opinion, he's not that good of a leader because he neglects his employees a lot, or if not that, he's also neglecting the customers, as we just saw in the video.
Thanks, Matt. Did anyone else want to chime in? Maybe how did the different leaders work together? So Audra put in the chat that she's not familiar with the show, and I just seen this clip today too for the first time, so I'm not familiar with the show too, but I definitely want to watch it now. Oh, y'all quiet, don't make me volunteer you. So Audra put in the chat box, one was attempting to make changes, while the other had a more easygoing style that suited his team, even though it wasn't as perceptible at first. Thank you, Audra, for sharing. Anyone else want to answer? All right. Well, we did mention. Oh, go ahead, Amy.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I can say one thing that I think is really interesting watching this clip is it's kind of like what Audra was saying, is there sort of seems to be at first like Chris is super enthusiastic and maybe is the one that you're like, oh, he's got really great ideas, and is gonna, like make all this change in the department. And then you learn later that Ron like knows his people really well, and he knows, even though he's kind of like, the joke is that he's like really curmudgeonly, he does actually know how the people in his team function, and he's able to like bring out the best of them by knowing those things about them. So
thank you for sharing, Amy. We did also mention at the beginning that silence is okay. And so maybe the clip was so funny that you're just still laughing right now. I know I am. So we will come back to that, and maybe you can stew on that for a little bit. But the next portion of our workshop for today is going over 7 leadership styles. And before I go into that, I wanted to let y'all know that I am not an expert on leadership styles. And really what we're sharing today is just different variations of what it means to be a leader and maybe styles that you can pull and choose from. So they're defined as the 7 classic styles, but you may not even fully do one or the other, but you may like pull from different styles, and that's okay. The purpose of sharing these styles is not even to rank them too. It's just trying to help you identify which styles you gravitate towards and how you can pull them to make you a better leader overall. So we're gonna go into the first one. You're ready. For those of you who like to be in control, we have the autocratic leadership style. And these kind of leaders are also known as authoritarian, I'm sorry, leaders. They generally have all the power, authority, and responsibility in an organization. There's rarely input or decision making on the part of the team or group members. Instead, those team members are tasked with implementing the leader's decisions and choices. And so we have an example here of Martha Stewart. Does everyone know who Martha Stewart is? Can you give me a thumbs up if you know who that is? I see some thumbs up. Let me see. Okay, it's okay if you don't. um, so Martha Stewart is a businesswoman. She is mostly known for um, her work in like cooking and like home decor. So she's an autocratic leadership person because her meticulous attention to detail and demanding nature. She's closely involved in all the things that have to do with her brands and the majority of her empire's decisions. So that's why she's an example of that. For those of you who are natural at influencing and inspiring, uh, we have the second one, which is charismatic leadership. These people tend to transform attitudes and beliefs in employees and others. They have the power to influence and inspire people, and the goals of the organization generally reflect their vision. So as the name suggests, this type of leader is charismatic and can affect great change as well as inspire people. And so our example that we have here is Oprah Winfrey. Is everyone familiar with Oprah Winfrey? Yeah. So I think I'm gonna change up this portion a little bit. So even if you don't know who that leadership, so when I'm reading off the description, maybe you can put in the chat like someone that you think reflects that, like a celebrity that you know of or someone from your community. So Oprah Winfrey, huge uh, person in like TV production and talk shows. She has her own channel, her own network, and uh, she's very influential in that realm. So that's her, but I wanted to see like, who do you think would represent a charismatic leader? So go ahead and put that in the chat. I'm gonna see what y'all are thinking, see if you guys are awake. Matt said, I obviously know her. People make jokes about her all the time. About Oprah or about
Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Mostly about her prison term.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hear much jokes about Oprah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't joke about Oprah.
And it's probably a good thing that I don't hear jokes about Oprah.
Awesome. We are going to move on to our third example of leadership, and that's transformational. So they're very similar to charismatic leaders. Transformational leaders inspire others. However, unlike the former leadership style, this style doesn't require the leader to be present to affect change, because the leader initiates transformation through the organization and motivates employees to perform. So my example that I chose for this style of leadership is Nelson Mandela. He was a very influential political leader in South Africa during the apartheid regime. And so apartheid was when basically if you were Black or a person of color, you could not be out and about. You had to basically report. If you want to go to the store, you had to have permission to go to the store. You couldn't be in the same community or in the same spaces as whites. And so he was trying to fight against that, and he got thrown into jail. And even from jail, for 27 years, he was in prison. Even though he spent that time in prison, he was still influencing people to rally for change. And basically, apartheid was ended in his country. So really cool example of transformational leadership. We have laissez-faire leadership. That's our next example. These types of leaders maintain hands-off approach to managing workers, providing them with the tools that they need to do their job without directly being involved in the day-to-day responsibilities and tasks. Our example here is Steve Jobs, one of the co-founders of Apple, and he basically hired highly skilled employees and gave them free reign to run his businesses. And so that's why his example is laissez-faire. Somebody put, oh, Adriana said, I hope to gain this leadership style. Yeah, I need to learn that too. Our next one is transactional leadership. And so this stems from the notion that employment and specific projects are a transaction. So when you get a job, you agree to obey the leader and complete those tasks and duties as assigned, and will be compensated in exchange for your efforts. And so workers may be rewarded or punished based on their performance under this type of leadership. And so my example that I have here is Bill Gates, who was a founder of Microsoft. And a lot of people describe his leadership style as being very task-oriented and goal-focused. And so that's why I put him as the example. Our number 6 is supportive leadership. Oh, I see Amy put Ron Swanson is definitely laissez-faire example, yes. Our next style is supportive leadership. These people delegate and assign tasks to their employees, but also provide their employees with the skills and tools they need to complete the task. And so my example here is Trevor Noah, who is the host of The Daily Show. And so as the host, he has other comedians and other people working under him that are creating the content, and they're growing their, I guess, their realm of influence as well as media profiles. And so he's helping them to not only help the show's content, but also create their image and their influence in that realm. Finally, our last one is democratic leadership, also known as participative leadership. In this case, all or most of the group members are able to participate in making decisions and handling the processes. We have here Indra Nooyi, and she's the CEO and chairman of Pepsi. And she encourages communication and makes an effort to take interest in the lives of all of her employees. And so that's why I put her down as the example. So these are 7 different styles of being a leader. And like I said earlier, you can pick and choose from different styles, but usually we gravitate towards one or the other. We're gonna do an activity. If we can go to that slide, please. So the next thing that we're gonna do is a group activity, and we're actually gonna be going into breakout rooms that are randomly assigned. Each person in the room will be, each person in the room will be assigned one of these leadership styles. And then you also have one of our professional staff members in that room to answer any questions and also to help assigning you that leadership style. And so the task is you have to plan a birthday party that's post-COVID. So what would that look like, and how are you going to get it done? All right. So before we do the breakout rooms, I did want to make sure that if anyone has any questions or needs clarification, you can ask that now. No? So we'll be in our breakout rooms for maybe 10 minutes max. Okay. So see y'all later. All right, do we have everyone back? I can't tell. Oh, it's okay. Well, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you were all able to plan out some really awesome, epic parties post-COVID time. And so I'm gonna actually give each group a chance to share out their parties and let us know what y'all came up with. And so when you're sharing out your parties, please take like maybe 30 seconds, and then we'll have some follow-up questions about the activity. Group one.
All right, team group one is here. We're supposed to all be here together. Everyone was really excited for me to be the authoritarian person, and I think, and I was like trying not to overdo it, but here we have a nice party, and I'm gonna report about it. So we decided on a vegetarian food, and definitely cake, including ice cream cake. There's gonna be like at least 3 different types, but you know, the sky's the limit because. And I was like, you know, judging by our team, we decided to do a group birthday party. I don't know how long it's been, but there's going to be like 20 people. There's going to be a slumber party with a DJ. And yeah, we're going to have like nice food and like a nice breakfast and play games. But there's going to be like the super chillax, relax area for maximum relaxation time and sleeping.
Awesome. Thank you, Audra, for sharing that and following in suit with your authoritarian energy. Pick the next group that's going to go. Audra, you want to pick who's going to go next? So we got groups 2, 3, and 4.
I thought we were just going to go in order. So it'd be group 2 next.
Okay, if that's what you say. Yeah. Let's go group 2.
Let's do group 2.
Group 2, you there?
Anita, I think you're on mute.
No, I was just wondering what group we were. Are we group 2? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was transformational. I was given the transformational leadership style. Well, we talked about having potluck, you know, just like variety of dishes where people come in dressed up in their cultural outfits and just have a good time and share different experiences from different cultures. Yeah.
Thank you, Anita. Group 3. All right, group 3, we got Lona, Karen, Kim-san, Matt, and Uni. Any one of you ready to share?
I can share for my group. We didn't have enough time actually, but so I can just say who was which role. So Karen was Laissez, Faire, Matt Transactional, Yanni Charismatic, Kim-san supportive, and me Democratic. So I would start with the charismatic, which like we would influence people to go to our party and bring really good energy before the party starts. Our party calls birthday mask party, which is actually kind of during COVID, and we, you know, as a as a transactional style of leadership, we will give clear task and clear kind of structure of our party. So we will say like, you have to be in a mask. Without mask, you just can't enter. And also that the Laissez Faire, it support the leadership style, support kind of involved with the tools and others equipment, so that person will respond for all the kind of preparation and management, like how to organize and manage a party. And supportive person will you know, kind of coach, I believe it was kind of support with them, you know, with like with not support, but organize the food, organize the DJ, and like a dance area, so that everyone kind of has its own responsibility for different parts. And also we would have the like person who would responsible for 6 feet distance. So like just person at the party would just control that people kind of not support, but kind of do the requirements about the party. And as a democratic, I hope I said about everyone. As a democratic, it was my role. I would kind of help, I mean, I would kind of involve people in participation as a participate in different games, or like kind of we would have a lottery like game with the tickets, where people could earn something or could win like some small presents.
Awesome. Thank you, Ilona, for sharing. Y'all definitely planned birthday parties for the whole year. Appreciate you guys. So now we'll come to our last group, group 4. We do have a student panel after this, so I want to make sure we give them enough time to share. So let's please keep our time to 30 seconds if we can.
All right, group 4 here. I'm the Democratic, so I guess I'll be speaking for group 4. But so we decided that we had an infinite amount of money, actually 10 million, I think. So we were doing the birthday party for a 12-year-old, I believe. And so we're gonna fly the 12-year-old to Florida so that they can go and go to Disneyland, I believe. And they're just gonna have fun. They're just gonna go wild, go crazy, go stupid. And then, and Hector, help me out here if I missed anything, but I think that was it. We talked about limos, but then I was like, oh, that might be too much, you know. So we'll cut down on the limo part, but yeah, like Amy said, I'll just let them be.
Hi, Georgia.
Yeah, you pretty much got everything.
You got a haircut, Georgia?
What's up, Ying?
What's
up? Well, thank you, Group 4, for sharing out today. And thank you to every group for sharing out your parties. Because we're running short on time, we don't really have enough time to go over our discussion, but we planned that activity so that we can have these competing leadership styles, work on a project together. And we know that's something that we face a lot in classrooms when you're working on a group project and you have an idea and someone may disagree with you, and like how do you make sure that the team reaches a consensus or that you can compromise and hear different ideas or perspectives that are different from yours. And so we thank everybody for participating in that activity, but we have to move on with our program. And so I would like to pass it on to Iwizi for our student panel.
All right. Thank you, Lupe. I am super excited to introduce our next team, which is our Global Student Ambassador. So this whole time we've been talking about cross-cultural leadership. And so why not see how that looks like in action by hearing from some of the folks on our student leadership team. So I want to invite GSA to introduce, who you are and describe what makes you a leader. So maybe we'll start off with baby girl, Keren.
Yeah, wait. Hello guys, my name is Karen Mulinda and I'm from Democratic Republic of the Congo in Africa, the middle part of Africa. And what makes me a leader is all the responsibility that I have as a student first, a student leader, and the way that I impact or also what I do that help other students to look at me like an example. That's actually one of the things that makes me a leader, like a good example for other students. Yes.
And then Keren, you can pass it on to whoever you'd like to go next.
Anita can go next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anita. I am an international student. I'm from Kenya. I'm also a GSA member. What makes me a leader is my core values of social justice. I think it's very important when you're serving a community or like you are responsible in representing a community. Also like showing up consistently, sorry. I think it's an important quality of a leader, and just the desire to help others. Yeah. I will pass it to Anish.
Hello everyone, my name is Anis Kimire. I'm from Nepal. I use he, his pronouns. And my, what was the question again? I'm sorry, I'm so bad. But
What?
wait, what makes me a leader, right? I remember. Okay, so my definition for what makes me a leader is I focus on my team, keeping them in a positive environment, helping them and keeping them on the same track, and focusing on the team, helping them if they need. Most of the time it's the opposite. I need help, but I do help other people time to time as well, and just making everyone happy and just taking the things that I need to take seriously and just be good and let other people be good. That's what makes me a leader, I think. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Miles. I'm from Vietnam and I'm part of GSA. Like things that makes me to be a leader is I want to communicate with more students. I want to like more engage with them, and also I want to like always ready to help if they need it. Yeah, it's what makes me a leader.
Awesome. Thank you, lovely GSA leaders, for introducing yourselves. Our second question for you. And also, if you don't feel led to answer the question, you do not have to. But the second question is there an aspect of your culture that has influenced your leadership within GSA? Anyone can start.
Yeah, I can still go first. So for me, it's just the country that I'm from. So the leadership style there, it's like since years and years, it's a lot of dictature. I don't know how to say it in English. Dictature, dictator, right? In English, yeah. So and then so people in Congo do whatever they want, and that bad attitude is one thing that helped me to know, because in my country the communication is zero, so anybody like take the decision. So that bad attitude and example of my country helped me to put communication first. And also working with GSA, we work with people from different countries. If you don't come, even if we don't speak the same language, but we always find a way to communicate. So it's actually that thing that's motivated me, and it's changed my mentality to see like some stuff differently. And one day maybe I can go back and also be the proof of communication and help people and to change their mentality. Yeah.
Yes. So in my country, when being signed for works, the team members have to take a responsibility for finishing the work earlier or at least on time. But usually we have done our work earlier than the deadlines. Like when having a mission, Vietnamese people usually work really hard to accomplish it as soon as they can. Like that's what I influenced me within GSA.
All right. If Anisha and Anita don't want to answer that question, that is okay. But our next question, if maybe Anita or Anisha wants to start off with this one, is from your cultural perspective, what is the best prime ideal form of leadership, and do you agree with it?
All right, I can start this. So, from my cultural perspective, the ideal form of leadership is the one leader who has like more power to rule and dictate the people and who have like massive followers. And I kind of don't agree with that. I kind of don't agree giving the whole power to just one person and let them lead the way. I kind of believe in the whole team working together. And in my personal perspective, the leader should be able to influence a bunch of people, even if not being in a power, if that makes sense, and where you can bring a change, where you can single-handedly influence the people with your action, even if they don't agree with you in certain terms, but they agree with you the things that you're doing. That's what I think.
For me, I think I've seen different perspectives. It's not just, uniform. One that I really agree on is like participative leadership, where they involve the whole community in making decisions, and also like being very like we really value authenticity and like respect, and as much as it's not seen all over, those are like really core qualities that our community has been built on. The only problem I would have is like when it comes to participative leadership, there's an aspect of gender, there's an aspect of age, where like, yeah, you as a community are involved, but men are considered, the decision makers, or if you're younger, your opinion is not valued as much. Yeah, so that's what I would not completely agree with, but I like the idea of involving the community.
All right. Thank you both for asking that question. Our next question is, what is something you learned from someone else's cultural leadership style?
For me, like the thing that I've learned from others' cultural leadership is like keeping my emotion on track and start to listen to others and be understanding to everyone. Like I used to be very tough with my thoughts and idea when I work in the team, but now like I'm start to listen and I'm start to like know some way to combine all the thoughts and ideas together. And also I learned like how to globalize my mind when brainstorming an event. Like in Vietnam, when like planning any events, I think they just like focus on like Vietnamese people. They do not like plan it to be global. So here I wanted, like, it's a big chance for me to learn about how to globalize my thoughts and my, yeah.
So for me, I learned how to respect and appreciate more other people leadership, cultural leadership, and also observe. And I also learned to not judge. So I have to observe without judging. I learned that too because, in my country we judge a lot. We always no, but now I learned how to step back, to pause, and then ask question if I want to know more. Yes, and take what is good, like to apply to my future leadership skills. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that insight. GSA, our last question for you all is, what are some of the benefits and challenges of working in a team with different cultural styles of leadership?
I guess that I think there are more benefits than than disadvantages from my experience. Um, I think working in a community where we are from different backgrounds, I've been able to get out of my comfort zone and also do the work of researching about different communities and understanding them, and so that I can have better communication, because I think communication is a challenge where different communication styles in leadership can cause a bit of misunderstanding. For example, some cultures are like, if you're super upfront, it's not considered, the best way to communicate. And, yeah, so that can be an issue if you if you don't understand. But most of the time, I've just learned to be patient. I've learned to get off my comfort zone and just grow and add learning to becoming a better leader.
For me, there are more benefits than the challenges. Like Anita said, you learn so much from people that are from completely different side of the world, and what you realize is, even if we grow up in a different culture, the one thing common is leadership. No matter where you're from, the leadership is a core thing, and we just realized it's important. And yeah, and talking about the challenges, we love everybody, so the challenges will just go away as soon as we work together. So I have not faced any challenges with the team that I've worked. So yeah, thank you, Edwina, we love you too.
Wow, thank you, Anish. I have love and appreciation for our GSA squad too. I wasn't sure if anyone, I think maybe anybody else wanted to respond to that, but I have loved just hearing from each of you. I think like I heard a common theme around from what each of you have learned about each other is working as a collective and being able to challenge each other like in your own styles has been, like in itself, I guess, like a benefit, and being able to bring in your own experiences. And so that's the beauty behind like cross-cultural leadership, is that, you're not only getting to bring in your perspective, you're naming the things that maybe you learn that you sometimes want to unlearn, when you're working with other folks. And so I want to say thank you, GSA panelists, for bringing in your stories. And right now, I'm going to pass the mic back to Uncle Lupe.
Thank you, Ms. Iwizi, for leading our student panel. And thank you, GSA, for sharing your stories and your experiences. Really valuable information that you shared today. And now we're going to open it up to our room to everyone and answer this question, which is, why is cross-cultural leadership important? And I think some of our GSA members, and I'm going to touch on it a little bit, but I'd love to hear what everyone else's thoughts were. Or you can answer like, why is it important, or why should it be important?
First, I think it's really important to have cross-cultural leadership, because if our leadership is coming from like the perspective of just a single culture, then we aren't really getting kind of the full picture, and having people from different cultures coming in to contribute and really as one person, just as an individual, thinking in their mind about different cultures, what can they really do to amplify the experience of being a leader, by really taking in the fact that honestly, leadership is hard, and the best way to do it would probably to be as inclusive as possible. And with inclusion, it just kind of relates to being in relation to different cultures.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Maya. So insightful. Like she said, leadership is not easy, and it's not always going to be clean and like neat. It's going to be messy a lot of the time. And so part of us doing this workshop is really to like help us navigate, because us as the pro staff, we're dealing with this too. And so we want to give ourselves the tools that we can to navigate through these spaces. And so anyone else want to share? Thank you, Maya. I also want to open it up to our pro staff too. If y'all have any input that you want to share, some wisdom you want to impart, that'd be great too.
If you currently work on a team or you have a really close group of friends, maybe a good question that we actually were talking about today. Well, we talked about this before, but asking, is a hot dog a sandwich, could be a good icebreaker in getting to know your team. So I think that helps to bring in how different folks think about perspective. But if ever any student leadership teams, if any of you need questions to help break the ice, let us know.
All right, well, that this is not the end of the discussion, but just due to time constraints, we're gonna close out this portion of the conversation. And we have community events happening all the time. So if you wanna continue this conversation in another workshop that you wanna create, or if you wanna start a club to talk about this kind of thing, like there's many avenues for us to continue holding space for these kinds of discussions. So I'm looking at the hot dog image. Okay, so I do end up putting in the chat. I think it's important to ask about each other's leadership style, so that we know how to best approach and support each other, regardless of what we agree or disagree on. Right. Thank you, Sis Iwiz, for sharing. But that brings us to the end of today's workshop presentation. Thank you all for joining us today and holding space together. But before we leave, we do have some announcements. So I'd like to turn over the mic, if you will. I'm going to give it over to Saini.
Whoa. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Saini. I use she, her pronouns, and oh my gosh, I'm so unprepared. So next week on Thursday, March 11th, from 12 to 2, we're having On a PZ virtual game room. That's so funny that I see the flyer on here, Lupe, because I don't think you actually responded to it. Huh? Shade. Okay. But anyways, yeah, we're just gonna be playing games. There might be code names. I don't know. You're just gonna have to come and see. Um, there's other games too, but I think we're still trying to get as much games and fun as possible. So come through. I know a lot of people here like code names, so hint, hint. If you want to come through, come through. But yeah, it's next week, and hope to see you all there. Thank you.
All right, and next up we have GSA for an announcement.
So we have an upcoming event, the International Student Forum. It's for international students where they get an opportunity and a safe space to talk about what they're going through, to discuss about their experiences, and try to find solutions, and necessary actions are going to be taken as well. So if you're an international student, this is for you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita and GSA. We have, I'm going to pass it over to ICC squad.
I could share. So on the ICC, our last program of the quarter is coming up this Tuesday, March 9th. Sam is going to be facilitating the conversation